Welcome to the Awesomers.com podcast. If you love to learn, and if you're motivated to expand your mind, and heck, if you desire to break through those traditional paradigms and find your own version of success, you are in the right place. Awesomers around the world are on a journey to improve their lives and the lives of those around them. We believe in paying it forward, and we fundamentally try to live up to the great Zig Ziglar quote, where he said, "You can have everything in your life you want if you help enough other people get what they want." It doesn't matter where you came from, it only matters where you're going. My name is Steve Simonson, and I hope you will join me on this awesomer journey.
If you're launching a new product manufactured in China, you will need professional, high-resolution, Amazon-ready photographs. Because Simo Global has a team of professionals in China, you will oftentimes receive your listings photographs before your product even leaves the country. This streamlined process will save you the time, money, and energy needed to concentrate on marketing and other creative content strategies before your item is in stock and ready for sale. Visit simoglobal.com to learn more, because a picture should be worth 1,000 keywords.
You are listening to episode number 84 in the Awesomers podcast series, and all you need to do is run on over to awesomers.com/84 to find today's show notes and details. Now, our special guest again, continuing, is Andy Arnott, and Andy is joining us for a three-part series. This is part 2 of the three-part series, by the way, and he's an Amazon seller and a software builder and has really done an awful lot, and we're going to dive more into those details about his journey in this episode that you're listening to right now. Back to the air traffic control. Now, was that high stress, and was that something that you thrived on, or did it start to wear on you? What was your experience with that?
I actually worked at a smaller kind of regional airport, and it wasn't like, I mean, we still did shift work, but we didn't have to work overnight. But yeah, it was stressful, and it was the funny thing is I equate it a lot to if you were ever a server or a bartender. You know, at least at our airport, it was very much the same way, where you'd be sitting there twiddling your thumbs for an hour, and then all of a sudden you'd get 30 airplanes that show up at one time, and you got to figure out how to get them on, 2 runways. So wow, that was interesting. I kind of thrived on it for the most part, though. I did a lot of training of the new people coming in once I kind of got established. And so that was kind of fun for the most part.
Yeah, but, it comes and goes, I'm sure.
Right.
How about the, as you kind of, now would you say that air traffic control is kind of your first proper job out of school?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. And I stuck with it for a long time, which is kind of crazy in this day and age. Most people don't, but it was a solid job, and it kind of enabled me to be able to still, pursue my entrepreneurial stuff, because it's not a job where you take anything home with you. That was the one great thing about that job, is as soon as I walked out of that tower door, I was done for, I wasn't, unless I was getting a call on Sunday to say, hey, somebody called in sick, you need to come work.
Yeah, but they didn't send sketches home and go, hey, land these planes on
exactly. Yeah, it's not like being an entrepreneur where you're on 24/7, but that was the only kind of, the big difference with that job, at least, is, you kind of left it behind as soon as you walked out the door.
So from then, thinking about those days until now, was there any defining moment that kind of put you on the path that you're on today, from the standpoint of either Amazon seller or the SaaS business?
Yeah, I mean, it was a culmination of things. I was kind of getting to the point where I wasn't really happy with the job, and I just, my passion was with all my entrepreneurial stuff. Thankfully for my wife, she was really kind of pushed me into taking the leap, and thankfully, because I'm so much more happy now, and I get to make my own hours, I get to see my kids, with that job, I had to work on Thanksgiving, Christmas, there's no days off in the tower. So that was really, really hard. So I don't miss that either. So that was kind of the biggest thing. And now that I work for myself completely, I mean, like I said, I've always had side gigs. I've always worked, I want to say 2 or 3 jobs my entire life. I've always worked, a lot. But I think since, going 100% working for myself, I don't think I could ever go back to a 9-to-5 job. That would be extremely hard. I mean, I would do it, of course, if I have to feed my kids and that's the only way I could do it, of course I would do it, but not by choice.
Yeah, understood. Makes perfect sense to me. So as you kind of have progressed down this path, and as I recall, you did some sort of app business.
I did. So right before we started the Amazon business, Yeah, I was doing Android apps, and the funny thing was, is I started building Android apps, kind of, you know, how I said I could kind of foresee and kind of see into the future before anybody even, I think it was the first Android phone had just come out, and I started learning about it, and I had, you know, I taught myself to code and things like that, and so I kind of figured out, you know, I can kind of rough my way through, you know, my first couple Android apps. And I did that, and I had one of the first solitaire apps on the Android store. So that was just being the early mover. You know, I think I had over 1 million downloads, you know, fairly quickly, and we were making significant amount of money every day just on ad revenue. So that was awesome.
That's a crazy time to remember. You know, so
Yeah.
just for those who don't know how apps work, the app probably was some sort of free app, but you'd show ads inside of the app. Yes?
So it would be free, and then like in between, you know, like when you're done playing the game, when you won or lost or whatever, then, you know, sometimes a quick ad would pop up, or sometimes you'd have a little bar on the bottom with an app or with an ad. But yeah, so I'd gotten up to about 30 apps, and then one day, this is kind of like an Amazon suspension story, you know. One day I got an email from Google saying, "Hey, we've suspended your app account. You can never reapply. You can never list an app again." And the reasoning for it was trademark infringement. And what had happened is, I don't know, do you remember Google Buzz? It was
Briefly,
a long time ago. It was like a social network that they had tried to release to compete with Twitter, and there was no app for it. So I built what's called a web wrapper, which literally just makes an icon. Back then, you couldn't even add a website as an icon to the home page, to your home screen on your phone. So I just built a wrapper, and so people would launch that site very easily. Well, I built that years prior. It was in my account. I even forgot about it. And so we got this email one day, and needless to say, you know, going from multiple six figures a year to zero in one day is pretty much a punch in the gut. So that's kind of when we started looking at Amazon and kind of turning our focus on Amazon.
Wow, that's definitely a defining moment.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not a fan of the capricious and arbitrary way that these big companies make decisions.
Absolutely,
right?
It's so, and the worst part is you can't even get on the phone with the person. I mean, because this funny thing is, my brother-in-law used to work for Google, so it's even more frustrating. But you can't even get on the phone and say, "Hey, like, this is what I did. You can see I was doing nothing. You know, there's nothing nefarious here. I was trying to help you in a way, help your users out, access your service. You know, I understand that I'll never do it again." You know, not even a warning. I mean, that was the worst part. Is at least Amazon gives you multiple warnings before they kick you out. Google is just ruthless and you know, just boots you. So.
Well, their motto originally was "Do no wrong" and
do no evil. Yeah, and they got rid of that.
Yeah,
they got rid of that in a hurry. Once I always say I lost my love for Google when Eric Schmidt left, because he was kind of the guiding light, I feel like, in that company.
Yeah, it definitely changed. When you see somebody change their slogan from "Do no evil" to you know, we'll do a thing here or there. You know, they definitely have changed, and of course they're a juggernaut today. They could buy and sell us wholesale many times over.
Right.
That's just the way it is in a big company. But again, they miss out. You know, presumably there's a bunch of users of your apps that basically got orphaned as a result of that.
Yeah, and it's crazy. It's, you know, it's one thing if I was like, you know, trying to say I'm Google and trying to steal users, or if they had a competing app, or, you know, if it was, you know, malicious in any way, I could see that. But I mean, what I did was, and the crime did not match the punishment. Just ban that one app.
Yeah,
and email me and say, "Hey, don't list anything with any Google trademarks in it ever again." I would have said, "No problem." That thing was a piece of crap anyway.
Yeah, that is irony, dripping with irony. The simple way that things could be solved, and still take care of all the nefarious people out there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, yeah, absolutely.
It's unfortunate, but I think a lot of Amazon sellers, or those who used to, e-commerce guys in general, who used to say, "Oh, you know, we used to rock the SEO on Google, and now we've got this flurry of animals that are destroying our lives."
Right.
We see these big changes happen, and we have to be prepared for them and be able to adapt. And it sounds like that's what you did.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of when we turned all our energy to Amazon. It was right when my first son was born too. So my wife wanted to stay home and didn't want to do her 9 to 5 anymore. So that's kind of how I initially started the business, was kind of to supplement her income. And then it just took off. So,
Yeah. So tell us about that time, because that's still pretty early. Most people that are involved with selling on the Amazon marketplace, they have a general feeling that this all started in the last 3 or 4 years, but you've been doing it since 2012, I heard you say?
yeah. End of
Roughly?
2012, beginning of 2013. Yeah.
That's
So
pretty early.
right around when the Amazing Guys got started. That's why I always kick myself like, man, I should have started teaching people.
Yeah, right. They've done a nice job.
They have. I saw an opportunity there, and I started reading about it, and I heard about Amazon for a couple of years. And, what I tell, because I try to help a lot of people these days, on Facebook and stuff. I have a fairly decent sized following, and, people will write me on Messenger. I mean, but that thing pings all day long. And I'm busy, but I always try to get back to them, because I remember being, starting any business, you have this kind of feeling of being in the dark, and, something that's actually really simple, you get stuck on. And so I keep trying to, tell people, like, Amazon's a lot easier than you think it is. It just sounds hard because of what you've heard, or what your preconceived notions are, things like that. I mean, nowadays it's like between podcasts, YouTube, Facebook groups, all these things. There's so many resources out there now, which is kind of funny. That's why when people are like, well, it was so much easier when you started, I was like, yes and no. It was easier. There was a lot less competition, but there was zero. I mean, the Amazing Guy, .com guys are starting right then too. I couldn't, buy the ASM program and learn how to do it from A to Z. I had to learn from scratch and figure it out as I went. But in the end, that was a blessing, because now, I kind of feel like I can, Amazon A to Z. I feel like I've kind of got Amazon from A to Z right now when it comes to kind of all facets of Amazon. And so now I can kind of help other people. So.
Without sponsors, this show wouldn't exist. So let's take a quick break right now and listen to one of those very important sponsors.
Empower. The name says it all. Connecting e-commerce entrepreneurs with great people, ideas, systems, and the services needed to stay business dynamic and to grow. Empowery is a network, a cooperative venture of tools and resources to make you better at what you do, because we love what you do. We are you. Visit empowery.com to learn more.
Well, it is a journey, and over time you develop that experience and so forth. And this is the thing I tell folks, especially when they're starting out. First of all, they're going to hear a lot of little chatter, a lot of people talking about this or that, especially in Facebook groups.
Sure.
And I see it almost every day. I'm sure you do see this as well, where they're like, oh, is the FBA business model dead? Is private label dead, right? Is SEO dead? Everything's always dead.
Yep.
And it's like, if you want to really ask the question seriously, just move along. Go do something else.
Absolutely.
I don't have time for it anymore.
Yeah.
The reality is it's never, there's a difference between simple and easy, right?
Yep.
The concept is simple. The execution is much more difficult,
Absolutely. Yep.
And it's only those who are willing to invest in the execution that are really going to be able to level up to get something done. And didn't you find execution was probably the key to?
It was, but the funny thing is the other thing that, in the last probably 6 months, I've been doing a lot more of kind of self-improvement and kind of trying to figure out more of where my weaknesses are and try to, offset those. I'm actually not the best executor. That's one of my weaknesses, because I'm one of those serial entrepreneurs. I'm always looking at the next shiny object, the next big idea that I have. So with this latest project, what I've decided is as a personal challenge is I'm just focusing completely on that, making that my sole focus. And when I feel myself starting to go, oh, I've got this great new idea for X, Y, or Z, for Facebook or for whatever, I dial it back. And what's been kind of cool about that is, so what I've been doing is, so if I have that a good idea, I go, okay, how can I integrate that into my current tool and make my current tool better? And so that's what I've been doing. So a lot of the last couple of tools that I just released, nobody else is really doing it. So they're really unique and kind of cool. And that's kind of what's starting to help us catch on is those ideas. So now I'm like, okay, so if I get this good idea, how can I use that with sellerseo.com to kind of really focus, put all my efforts into that and make that the best it can be, make it unique, make it, have a lot of value. So that's kind of, where I've been focusing on. And I've been watching like Tony Robbins. I've never seen him live, but all his, if you guys get on YouTube, I mean, it doesn't matter for, it's not only business, it's just personal growth. I mean, he's just, and just kind of wrapping your head around that you're your own worst enemy. You can do anything you want to do. It sounds kind of preachy, but it's true. I mean, we're our own worst enemy. We always put these ideas in our head that, I'm not smart enough. I don't have enough money to start this business. I don't have enough time. I have 3 small children, so I don't get enough sleep, which, that's my excuse all the time, but so
you're still getting stuff done.
Yeah, I am. Yep.
Well, this is, at it too, so. It's really valuable insight. And I think an important point for customers out there to take particular note of, self-imposed limitations are a dime a dozen. They're really easy to come by.
Absolutely.
And all we have to do is just, find a way to solve them. And for those customers who have listened, I think it's awesomers.com/18 is the strengths-based leadership. And this is a very important point because Andy talked about this, that execution is not necessarily in the heart of his strengths, but he had to have people around him that were good at executing to be able to pull it off. And that's kind of how I do stuff. Is I'm not good at execution. I'm kind of the idea guy, and I'm the big idea and big problem. They often say that I walk into the conference room, I drop off a hand grenade, and then I leave the room. That's one of my ideas, right? And so they have to kind of pick up the pieces and figure out how to make it all work. Do you find that you have team members who are able to help you get the job done?
Yeah, well, so that's the other thing that, I can't remember which. I was listening to one of your previous podcasts, but that was one of the other things that I found is another weakness of mine is delegating. I always want my hands on everything to make sure it's perfect and things like that. So in the last couple of months, I've been getting a lot better at that too. So I'm actually building, a team that's kind of like you're saying, where I tell them, go and do this and come back to me when you're done. And then I'll give it the thumbs up or thumbs down. That delegation is a huge part. And that's once you realize that, that's when you actually start to grow your business. So,
yeah. So I talk often about this concept of strategy, systems, and scale, right? So strategy is having something worth pursuing to begin with. Right. If you decide you're going to become the world's largest buggy whip sales guy, you can do it. You can do anything, but maybe that's not the best strategy today.
Right.
Once you have that strategy, then you need to apply systems and some of the things that you're talking about with your tools. And we'll be sure we have links in the show notes and everything to make it easy on folks. But your tools are to create systems to make things easier, yep. Right? So you can launch, rank, and so on and so forth. Yep. So those systems are important. The fundamental truth about scale, the third component there, is scale relies on people at the end of the day. There's very few companies that have hit massive success without involving people and being able to understand how to find the good people, how to retain the good people, and then, of course, how to delegate and manage those people. That all requires learning, and it takes a little bit of time. But in today's world, it's way easier than it used to be. Yeah. Have you started to engage with people in a virtual way, outside of your own office?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, majority of our staff is virtual. So I mean, we have developers we have one in China, we have one in India, we have one in Arizona. We have we're all over. We have some people in the U.S. So it's kind of all over the place. Now, one thing I didn't mention is my wife, of course. I mentioned that, we started because of her, but she's kind of she's the getting things done person in the background. She's not too much into the SEO business, but she's in the Amazon business very much. So she does, the stuff that I hate, bless her soul, like, inventory and, if we ship stuff to FBA from our own warehouse, she's doing that. She's doing any of the seller fulfilled stuff.
Yeah. See, there you go. There's your execution person right there.
Yeah. So
and by the way, she probably likes some of that stuff. I'm guessing.
She does. She's I'm more of the kind of quiet, introverted, guy with ideas. She's the getting things done, nothing stands in her way kind of person. So, she's definitely the driving force behind all that stuff. So
this is a very important kind of combination. I was just at a an event here in Austin. Is really busy and packed week in Austin. Every single day and night we had things to do. And one of the folks that I met at a dinner party, she was saying, you know what, I'm just an extraordinary number two, right? I don't have the big idea, but somebody who tees up that big idea, I will go and I will get that job done. I will build a team around it. I'll do it on a cost-effective basis, right? She is like the world best execution person in her mind. She can take the idea and make it go. And man, oh man, is that, that is something all of us would be thrilled to have in our organizations, I think.
Yeah. Well, she's super passionate about real estate. So she's just about to get a real estate license, and she's been, she's extremely passionate about it. So I'm excited to see what she comes up with. She wants to do the buying and flipping and all those kinds of things. So, and, a lot of people, they'll watch the HGTV shows and be like, oh, we'll do that. The funny thing is both, or the last house that we owned, our realtor to this day said it was the worst house he's ever seen. And we completely fixed it up and made a huge amount of, flipped it and made a ton of money and then upgraded, so we've kind of got the experience doing that. Just, we've never done it for other people. So that's going to be kind of exciting. And it's also funny again, cause she's the person who likes to put on the tool belt and do all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, okay, enjoy that. I'll be inside here, working on my software.
That's hilarious. That realtor probably could use a little bit of a softening of the sales pitch. This is the worst house I've ever seen.
Yeah, well, he was trying to do us a favor. He thought we were crazy because we had never done anything like that before. But it's just like with entrepreneurialism. If you get thrown to the fire, you figure it out. I mean, and that's what people always have this fear about getting into something. It's you figure it out. With YouTube nowadays, I mean, I was on YouTube figuring out how to do plumbing, how to do electrical, how to install a ceiling fan, do it. I can do everything. I can pretty much do anything now. So when it comes to being in a house and making repairs and doing things like that. So
this is a good point about kind of awesomers will find a way. Normies who think that they're protecting us, right? They're trying to help us. Often friends, family, close people to us. They think they're helping us by steering us a certain way. So no disrespect to them, but awesomers want to take the adventure. Awesomers want to kind of take the risk. And even if we're scared, we kind of do it anyway. And that's a pretty defining thing. So I definitely salute what you've done there. We're going to take another quick break. When we come back, we're going to hear maybe the biggest lesson that you've learned, maybe even a couple other tidbits, and perhaps even a prediction of the future. So we're going to do that right after this break.
Hey Amazon Marketplace professionals, this is Parsimony ERP, and we get one question over and over. Can you please tell me exactly what Parsimony does? Well, we'll try, but this is only a 30-second spot, so we're going to have to hurry. Connect to your Seller Central account and pull all the new orders. Enter the orders with all customer data. Enter all of the Amazon fees and charges. Store them at the item level. Generate profit and loss reports at the SKU level. Automatically generate income statements. Handle multiple companies. Handle multiple brands. Handle multiple currencies. Facilitate budgets and forecasts. Store all customer interactions in a sophisticated CRM system. Manage your supply chain. Project and task management. Maintain an audit log. Hey, you get it. That's Parsimony, PARSIMONY.com. Parsimony.com. We've got that.
Once again, great insights and exceptional experiential learnings and observations that Andy has about his journey. And I really appreciate awesomers like Andy sharing their backgrounds and experiences. Hearing all of the various stories about Google and all the problems that ended up happening with a pretty successful app business. It's both heartwarming to see and press on, and annoying to see these big companies exert their will willy-nilly. I dislike that type of big company mentality. But as always, he's hopped up and carried on. That resilience is something I always respect and appreciate. Now, let's not forget, this is part 2 of a 3-part series with Andy. You're not going to want to miss tomorrow's episode. That's part number 3. For those doing the math at home, I'll just help you out there. Part number 3 coming up tomorrow. This has been episode number 84 today on the Awesomers podcast series. And just jump on over to awesomers.com/84 to see all of today's show notes and details, and perhaps even a link or two that we talked about today. Well, we've done it again, everybody. We have another episode of the Awesomers podcast ready for the world. Thank you for joining us, and we hope that you've enjoyed our program today. Now's a good time to take a moment to subscribe, like, and share this podcast. Heck, you could even leave a review if you wanted. Awesomers around you will appreciate your help. It's only with your participation and sharing that we'll be able to achieve our goals. Our success is literally in your hands. Thank you again for joining us. We are at your service. Find out more about me, Steve Simonson, our guest, team, and all the other Awesomers involved at awesomers.com. Thank you again.